properties are disappearing. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your morning stein of coffee. Let's check out this Daily Mail article discussing, well, landlords selling up and getting out. Now I know people are thinking, fantastic, more first home buyers will come and swoop in and buy those properties. But the problem is we want rental stock. We need rental stock. As much as everyone seems to hate landlords, at least the Reddit warriors and the Twitterati, we need people to pretty much bite the bullet and invest in properties and provide them available to rent. Sure, some of them are crap properties, some of them are good properties. There's a whole mix of them. Right now we have a shortage of them, so rents are getting expensive. So it's the cool thing to wail on landlords. But we need them. There's times in our lives where people rent houses. Some of them choose to or seem to rent their whole lives. Others just for certain periods. When's the time you move to a new city? You don't instantly go and buy a house. You rent one for a period. What about when you're doing construction work on your primary residence? You move out and you add to that 1 million figure of empty properties and you use a rental. What if you're flying in and flying out somewhere? You know, if you're paying for a property yourself, use a rental. Or the company that you work for is renting or buying. We need these properties. Landlords are not the evil bloody characters that they're portrayed in the old cartoons or movies. Most of them are mum and dads. Most of them are using property. Well, frankly, the government's manipulating them to invest in this property for the tax discounts. And the only reason we've got such good capital appreciation in property is because, well, meeting the continued demand with increased supply is just, frankly, difficult. So I'm not, you're not going to be getting a lot of landlord bashing here from me. So let's have a look. Why thousands of rentals are disappearing from the property market across Australia. Now, I've been warning about this and looking at giving examples of precedent where the government's stepping into the rental market and screwing around with it has caused problems. We've got the Greens calling for rent controls and rent caps. These have never worked. Look at Ireland. Look at the small changes they made in Ireland, and then people struggled to get a rental property because landlords said, stuff this, I'm out. And I think that's what we're starting to see here, particularly in Victoria with all of their changes. So let's look at this one. Rental property sales surged in the last year. Up to 12.1% of investors sold one or two properties. Hundreds of thousands of rentals have disappeared from the national market as nervous investors lead a mass exodus from the real estate sector. Rental dwelling sales surged in the past 12 months, according to a survey of 1,724 investors by the Property Investment Professionals of Australia. The result revealed a staggering 12.1% of investors sold one or more of their rental properties. Investors in Queensland and Victoria are leading the exit, with almost a quarter offloading one or more properties in Melbourne and Brisbane, according to Pippa Chair Nicola McDougall. Now, I wonder, I'm not surprised people are getting out of Victoria. They're making it harder and harder to be a landlord. I wonder how many investors are cashing out in Brisbane, because what we'll do is I'll bring up, this is Queensland, Brisbane asking prices. What? That's Melbourne asking prices? What's going on with Brisbane? Hang on. Let me just reload this page. Wait, there's Brisbane rents. Oh, we'll show Brisbane rents for now. You can see the rents have increased. Rents have increased. You can look at that while I'm finding the bloody thing. What's broken here? SQM, Melbourne, Brisbane asking prices. There we go. Sorry, guys. This is the problem of when I start up my streaming software before my internet is connected to the computer. Teething problems. Anyway, this is the weekly asking property prices here for Brisbane. Let me just full screen it so I can see it here. And you can see you can see the insane increase. Okay, we don't go, what are we here? All houses in 2020. 2020 when property was so cheap was 640 grand. And now, shit, look at that. This is Brisbane, not Sydney, not Melbourne. This is Brisbane. The town where, we only had indoor plumbing for 20 years. Guys, shit. Look at how far back we get. Oh, boy, 2009. Where's three betters? There you go. Shit, my purchase price isn't even on this list. That's why you buy a fixer-upper, guys. You buy a shitty fixer-upper and then pay a mortgage and rent while you're building it, repairing it for a year. But anyway, back to this article. I wonder how many of the Brisbane investors are cashing out because of the insane growth we've seen. About 43% of respondents in this year's survey sold to an existing homeowner. Okay, so they sold to an existing investor, so that's good. But 30% sold to a first home buyer. So that's 30% leaving the rental market. Hopefully, the theory is these first home buyers are coming out of rentals. So that's not having as great an impact as maybe we're only losing 20%. Just 24% sold to another investor. So wait a minute. An existing homeowner, isn't that an investor, or they're buying, or are they upgrading? Maybe they're upgrading. Down from 33% last year, which means the majority of those investment properties were likely removed from the rental market. Ms. McDougall said last year's survey found 16.7% of investors had sold at least one property in the previous 2 years. And you also have to think where these properties are being sold. I mean, okay, sure, we've got maybe, what if someone's moving from Sydney up to Brisbane? They're going shits with this property prices in Sydney. I'm moving to wonderful Brisbane. They realize it's a fantastic city. The people are much more attractive and much more intelligent, so they all move up here. And they're in a state that actually wins the state of origin. So that means you've got a rental freed up in Sydney, but you've lost one here in Brisbane. So a lot of it is location as well. Because, Australians only want to live in 3 places in the country: Melbourne, Brisbane, and Sydney. At least half of us do. Clearly, this would explain the undersupply of rental properties available for tenants around the nation. Yet another stark illustration of the mass exodus of private investors from the market. And it's not going to get any better. Sure, Labor have their new policy that's gotten dry. I'll read through that later. But guys, they're talking 30,000 homes. That's 3 months of building approvals. Okay, don't feel like this is going to make any noticeable difference. It's not. The only noticeable difference is going to be the sound bites. I mean, good on them for trying. Good on them for trying. This is what they think they need to do, is try and build. But it's a nightmare. Getting housing affordable and getting more housing built in Australia, it's just a bloody nightmare. You got to get local council, you've got to get state, you got to get federal government working together. You've got the National Construction Code on side. You've got all these hoops to bloody well jump through. Then the process just to get something across the line is a lot of work. Using the 2021 census baseline of 2.477 million private rental dwellings in Australia, it is estimated that hundreds of thousands of rental properties were sold in the past 3 years. The data shows investors deserting Victoria and Queensland, with 24.8% of investments sold in Melbourne and 23.3% sold in Brisbane. Regional investors also fled, with 16.4% sold in regional Queensland and 6.4% sold in regional Victoria. She said the sell-off added pressure to the rental crisis, driven by the drastic undersupply of homes. The survey showed New South Wales and Western Australia offer premium investment opportunities, according to respondents. I remember the last time we looked at Western Australia. I need to do a live Twitch again where we try and find affordable housing. It's probably going to be even more depressing since it's been a couple of years now since I've done it. And you could positive gear in Western Australia, at least when interest rates were so low. It's crazy. Investors have attributed the sell-off to increased government reform and regulation, including changes to tenancy legislation, rental freezes, and an increase in limit or caps. The survey also found the sell-off was likely to continue, with 38% of investors planning to divest even more holdings within the next 12 months. It's not a mystery why so many investors are planning to exit the market. Should government further increase or introduce new taxes and compliance costs? 47.2% of respondents said they would be forced to increase rents. I mean, we had the other day a bloody smoke alarm guy came in to check the detectors in the property that we're renting. The idiot wanted to turn the power off to the house without any notice while I was working. I didn't know. And that's another cost that's passed on to the landlord, passed on to the renter. Because it's for your Sicherheit, for your safety. We need to make these homes safer for renters. That's the argument. So people push it forward. We get legislation changes, drives up the cost. Okay, this is the thing. If I'm assuming the people calling for these interventions don't realize they're increasing the cost of living burden on the average people. Victoria has rolled out a $5 billion land tax hike and mooted caps on rental prices increase or a rent freeze, while Queensland implemented and then scrapped plans for land tax reform. The survey canvassed 1,724 investors during the month of August, a record response. So they're pissed off. Oh boy, well let's have a bit of a chat about this one. It's not going to get any easier, guys. Even if we have a recession here in Australia, I can't see property crashing like people are hoping. Some people are expecting a recession. We get a China slowdown, less demand for our resources. Oh, we start to go down. Maybe a quarter negative here, quarter there. Do you think that's going to impact demand? It will for the average Australians that are working here that don't have alternative income streams, but there's still going to be a huge flood of people coming here. Remember, we're just a relatively small country on the side of the world. We mine shit, we teach people English, and we give you nice places to store your money. We're a safe, relatively boring, uneventful country. The most dramatic thing we've got now is a bloody referendum, and that's getting people all riled up. So, yeah, I can only see the more the government tries to meddle with the rental market, the more expensive rents are going to get. So there's another incentive, another drive to get out of it. You can't blame people for taking the leap to get into property during the mania. I know we can sit there and watch going, who would have thought rates would stay at 0.1%, or they took their super out, and why didn't they spend it on a boob job like the Union Super Fund said they would? No. They used it to get into a house. Maybe they stretched themselves a bit too far, and now they got to live a bloody less luxurious life. They can only have one slice of avocado toast, not two. They've got to make some sacrifices. But can you blame them for wanting to get out of the bloody rental market, get into a property? I can't, honestly. I think they'll do everything they can to hold on to it. The only time you see people really selling, forced to sell, it's during relationship breakdowns. Anyway, guys, you let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one. What do you reckon? You surprised rents or landlords are leaving the market? Are you a landlord and have gotten the shits with it and have exited? There's one gentleman I spoke to. He was featured in a news article. Remember? No, he was on the radio. He was the guy who, who was complaining about all these entitled people because he had 300 properties and they all laid into him and he copped so much shit. One of his mates pointed him in the direction of my YouTube video. So he rang me up, and what he's doing, what was really fascinating, was his methodology. He wasn't buying established properties; he was building. He had his own steel getting fabbed into house frames, down around here somewhere. Churning them out, buying land, and just boom, duplex, 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 family, family, family. He was providing a service, and they tore him to shreds. Funny that, eh? Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one. Take care, and if you want to support us or check out other content, you can check out HeiseBim or HeiseDoes. If you want to support us, you can on YouTube or Patreon. Use our referral links, buy our pocket squares, or call me if you need an architect. Take care. I'll see you next time.